Shall we deconstruct a little bit that final call from Sean Grandy?
Yes, let's.
Is the story of that series illness?
No.
Murray, is the story of that series illness?
Sure isn't.
Is the story of that series health?
No.
Nope.
Or as he said, bad injury luck?
No.
Niet.
Why not? I'll stop there because it feels like that's a really big part of the commentary.
Because the series was 3-1 before the Celtics lost Jason Tatum.
You had two 20.
I'm just giving you the short version.
You had two 20-point leads in the first two games that you you threw away and punched yourself in the face because your stupid play style.
Just to fill everybody in, Chris Apps was ill with something. Jaylen Brown was playing on a partially torn meniscus. Mm-hmm. And obviously we know Jason Tatum went down at the end of Game 4 with a torn Achilles. So when Sean Grandy says too much illness, ill health, bad injury luck, why does that not stand up again?
Because they had the opportunity to win the series in spite of all that, especially at the beginning. I think the series was decided in the first 4 games before Jason Tatum's injury. That's when I think the series was really decided. I have more, but go. Because I know you. I didn't know if you still wanted to go.
No, go. I mean, in other words, if they were so sick and hurt, how were they up 20 points in games 1 and 2 and 14 points in games 3 and 4?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And as for the ending of it, I would tell you that the next time someone utters the phrase Celtic pride, you can take it and you can shove it because they went out in a complete no-show in that Game 6. A complete no-show. They didn't want to be there. They didn't want to fight. They didn't really want to compete. They didn't want to do anything that they would need to do in that kind of game to win it on the road. It was as if we won Game 5. We prevented them from winning on our own floor. Now we're going to go to New York and get our asses kicked. It was never a game. They were never in it. They could have lost by 60. The final score doesn't even begin to do it justice. And the coach pulled his starters in the third quarter. I don't think I've ever seen that.
The other thing, too.
I think that part of it is inexcusable. You got to play at least half the fourth quarter or something close to it. He pulled them in the third quarter and packed up and went home.
The other thing, too, and I don't want to hear this from Celtics media or Grandy or Celtics fans, is last year when the Celtics rolled through pretty much the entire postseason against teams that were missing a star player or got someone banged up, and people like us were like, okay, congrats, you won, but you also had like the easiest path ever. Those same people were like, well, you can only play what's in front of you. And so I get it. Like, you don't want anyone diminishing their championship. You can't take that away. It was a great run they won last year, but a lot of guys got banged up, and anytime anyone brought that up, you can only play what's in front of you. And so now you want to use health and injuries as an excuse? It's hypocritical and, frankly, embarrassing. Like, shame on you if you do that.
It's the point of the week. Right out of the chute from Big Jim Murray. Brilliant. So good. Are you allowed to talk about injuries or not? Last year, apparently we're not. Okay, you're not allowed to mention that every team that you played had injuries. So we can't bring that up. But the first thing that you say about this year's run is your injuries?
Excellent point.
Which one is it, Green Teamers?
Porzingis could barely breathe. Tatum went down 3.5 games in. Brown, turns out, was on a torn meniscus. What were they to do? Well, what happened last year? I mean, Pacers ended up getting banged up. And don't diminish the championship run. Again, congrats. They won it. Great run last year. But, they played a lot of banged up teams. And if you point that out, you can't. You go, what are you doing? You look like fools.
You're children. You're talking to children.
No, that's basically what it is.
So, listen, there's so much to talk about with this team. And to me, the story is not injuries, and it's not health, and it's not bad injury luck. I don't know what Grandy meant by karma. Like, not enough karma, or what's the karma? What karma do they have working against them?
I don't know.
So, like, did they do something wrong?
Well, I don't think they
came back the cosmic basketball gods.
I don't think they took the Knicks seriously enough, at least in those first 2 games.
That's for sure, but that's not karma. That's being
maybe karma's the seeming addiction to 3-pointers.
So I'm not sure what he meant by that, but bad shooting, bad decisions, I'll give him for sure. Bad shooting and bad decisions was definitely a part of this Celtics loss. So to me, the story is you lost to the Knicks straight up. And that's a big story. And I just think everyone's moved past it, which is a mistake. They should be held accountable, and the team should be taking a hard look at why they lost that series. They lost the series straight up to the Knicks. I could definitely give you injuries if you made it to the finals and OKC is younger and healthier and firing on all cylinders, and you just broke down at the very end because you were banged up. That would be closer to a legit excuse.
I'll also allow, just sort of cut you off, but like, you want to argue Orlando took a chunk out of them? I'll give you that, because I think the Magic might have.
So, I mean, I'm not saying this to you. I would say that. How is that an excuse?
It's not.
It's called the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not.
What do you think? It's just going to be easy?
No, again, well, they do.
I mean, this most ludicrous. I love Joe Murray, but just this thing, like it's good to be a front runner, and they can just front run their way to championship after. I mean, that's just preposterous.
It is, because again, to win
it's lucky that it happened once. It's just not the way it works.
No, typically you're going to encounter some sort of resistance on the road to a championship. What happened last year was an aberration. You don't typically win championships that way. Now, look, they did.
And it's nothing to promote.
I agree.
You're proud that you're a front-running team, but you can't win close, tough games?
No, and that's what they are. They're a front-running team.
I mean, that's what they've proven to be.
Yes, exactly. And in fact, I think this reinforces the notion around the league that the Celtics are exactly that. I think they now I think the league looks at the Celtics and said, yeah, the only one they won, everybody, everything fell right in front of them, toppled over, and they went right there. So what happened? All those teams came out this year and said, hit them hard, bang into them, make it tough on them, they'll quit. And you know what? They kind of did.
Injuries, health, karma, that's just giving them a break. It's just letting them off the hook. Which if you want to make yourself feel better, you can go ahead and do. Like, you can do whatever you want as a fan. That comes from, guys who are in charge of commenting on the team, and that to me is no. They lost on metal and play style to the Knicks, and if they don't take a hard look at those things, they can reset the roster and come back in a couple of years. But if it's the same level of mental and physical toughness and the same ridiculous play style, they're not going to win. They're not going to win no matter how they reset the roster. And that's how they lost this series. And no one saw that coming. But it was there. And that's what happened. If you want to tell me you were hurt or ill or all that, how'd you get up 20 points in the first two games at home? How did you lead by at least 14 points in the third quarter of each of the first 5 games of this series? And you lost in 6? That's pathetic. Now, Mazz, the quitting in the last game, I think happened, and they got overwhelmed and all of that. I'm not hung up on that because, and you mentioned it too, last week, I believe. That is kind of the NBA.
I know.
It is, teams know they're not going to win, and there's a capitulation that happens often in these basketball series. And we've seen the greats do it. LeBron did it all the time. Kobe Bryant did it here in the final. I mean, I've seen the Celtics do it. I've seen other teams do it. I've seen good teams. I've seen everyone do it. You just sort of get to a point and you just sort of let down, and there it goes. We see it all the time. I don't think that's their fatal flaw. Like, I don't look at that and go, there's something wrong. I look at games 1 and 2 and say, there's something wrong. To me, that's a far bigger sign of there being something beneath the surface there that's not right.
So I'm not telling you that that's the reason they lost. I'm just telling you, I don't want to hear Celtic pride anymore. Okay, so how does that make them any different than any other organization?
Well, it might help if you started not acting like they were something different, because they're not. They're just another good NBA team. And it turns out they're just going to be another one-and-done champion, which is great. You got a title. Doesn't mean you suck. But it ain't anything special. And if they think that they are, maybe that's karma. Maybe that's the karma. They think there's something special. You think there's something special. You think there's something different. They're not. Which means you've got to earn it. You've got to fight for it. You've got to dig for it. You just can't show up and trust the process, and it's just going to happen because you're so much better than everybody else. You're not. And you play stupidly. So you are better. I mean, I do think you're the most talented team, but you're not so much better than everybody else that you can play soft or play that ridiculous style and expect to win by just showing up and blowing teams out. That's freaking stupid. And you all thought they were gonna. So I think the entire Celtics experience could use just a little attitude adjustment off of that. But it doesn't feel like you're taking it because it's injuries and illness and karma and whatever the F else you're all blaming. But no, make no mistake. You lost to the Knicks straight up.
They kind of killed them.
Yeah, they really did. They really did. At every pivotal moment, at every moment that was going to be a push-pull, some sort of fight for the outcome, if that's how you want to call it. Whenever there was a fight for the outcome, they lost it. And so, to me, that is sort of the fatal flaw.
Yes.
I think these guys have wanted it easy since the day they got here.
They have won a couple of close series. They beat the Bucks without Chris Middleton after the Bucks had won the championship and were, start on the beginning of their decline. But you did win a 7-game series there. You won Game 6 in Milwaukee. That might be the closest I'll give you to winning. You beat the Heat in 7 games, but God, Jimmy Butler, half-inch more on that three-pointer, and you lose that one. You almost shot yourself out of that game too. So I don't want to say every time you've been pushed to the brink, you've acquiesced, but more often than not, I mean, someone pushes you, that's it.
Yeah, right. Whenever someone hits back.
Not every time, but it feels like most of the time when someone pushes back, you capitulate is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, if the other team doesn't look, again, that Miami game, the Heat had them. Again, Butler left that shot short. The Bucks one I'll give you. Tatum was phenomenal in Game 6 of that series, so I'll absolutely give you that
But,
one.
wait, am I allowed to mention injuries or not? I get to Jim Murray's brilliant point.
Hey, thanks.
You tell me, the injuries, are they front and center or are they an excuse and we're going to leave them to the side? Because if they're now front and center, as Sean Grandy tells us, then that was a fake win over the Bucks. They were without Chris Middleton. So you got lucky and that was fake. We can do that. Just like this was about injuries, that was about injuries. If we had Chris Middleton, forget about it. You wouldn't even been in a position to win Game 6 or Game 7 or any of that. So we can play that game or not.
Puts them in a bit of pickle, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Yep. A little bit of a pickle swishing there for the Celtics. Swishing around that pickle jar.
That thing Friday night, though, I thought we'd see a little bit more of a pushback from the Celtics. It was Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, kind of, and Kristaps Porzingis a little bit that showed up. The rest of them, holy crap.
That was it.
Oh, my God.
So I know everyone wants to look forward, and we can look forward for sure. But there wasn't something quite right. The team wasn't what you thought. Do you want to look at that? You want to, if they do reset and come back around and do it again, are they going to do it with the same attitude, the same mettle, the same ridiculous offensive style? That offensive style that is wrong and does not win in the NBA at a high level. It does not. Do you know it now? Do you see it? Do you agree with that? You're going to keep fighting it. That they just missed open shots and they should keep taking those stupid three-pointers night after night after night deep into the playoffs. Do you believe that, or do you realize now that that's ridiculous? It's a ridiculous way to play basketball. And it caught up to them sooner than I thought, but I knew it would catch up to them. So as we look ahead, everyone's looking at the roster. No one's asking the first most immediate question to me. Brad Stevens is going to be addressing the media coming up here in about 15 minutes. Is anyone going to ask him about Joe Mazzulla's contract? No one's written it. Everyone's written the Celtics postmortem, and everyone's written about the second apron and the money that has to come off, and everyone's starting to poke at the roster. Is anyone going to write that Joe Mazzulla was not extended after the championship, and now he's going into his walk year, he's going into his lame duck year? And if you have any sense whatsoever, you never let a coach get to his lame duck year. You fire him before the last year, or you extend him. So they are on the hook this offseason for Joe Mazzulla. The decision on Joe Mazzulla comes now. Is anyone going to ask the question?
Good question.
Or are they afraid? They don't want to. No one wants to pee in the green pool. You just want to swim in it on your back, floating around in your green floaties. Or is anyone going to take a hard look at it? Is anyone going to take a hard look at how they play?
I doubt it.
The underlying stuff there, the metal of the team, but really mostly it's the play style and that ridiculous system that they run. Is anyone going to look at that? And how responsible for it is Joe Mazzulla? And if he is responsible for it, how come they didn't extend him after he won the championship? Most coaches in all sports, if they're on their first contract, they win a championship, they get extended right then and there. Nick Sirianni with the Eagles just got it today. It's just common. They didn't extend him, and now he's going into his walk year. You've got to decide on him. Is someone going to ask that? Curious, Brad. The last reporting is Joe Mazzulla has 1 year left on his contract. Where does your organization stand on that? Simple question. You got to look at, it's not going to be a dick. Just very simple question. Can we ask that one? Be curious to hear his answer.
We could.